Hi guys, welcome back to the Beastie Room. Have we got something special for you today? This is really cool, and this has been the work from, this must be 18 months now, and we started with these guys when they were 0.5 of a centimetre. They were tiny little slings, and now look what we've done. Come and have a look at this. You'll recognise this enclosure, won't you? This is our T.selodonia, the Brazilian jewel. And as you'll see here, we can open that door. What is that on the bottom? Look at that. That is an egg sac that the female has kicked out of her trapdoor, which is up here. This is her trapdoor, this is her home. She's behind there, and this is the little tiny egg sac, and you can just about see that. I don't know if you can see that actually. If I get a bit of moss behind it, can you see that tiny little molt?
Yes.
So this here is the empty sac, and inside this sac is full of tiny little molts. So our babies are actually at sling stage now. So these are proper baby little Selodonias. Isn't that amazing? That's cool. So what we done is we paired this girl back on the 13th of the 8th, and we paired her again on the 21st of the 8th. Now you guys will know on the breeding videos that we do that we always pair them twice, and I like to pair them normally within a week of one another generally. These went a little long, not much, a little longer, and I first noticed an egg sac on the 6th of the 10th, so that was probably what, 6 weeks later really. And going on the state of the egg sac, when I first saw it, it's a little bit, you've got to be careful because we don't want to upset our female spider. And as you know, when they drop an egg sac, they quite often get a little bit nervous, very protective, and disturbance can often be the worst thing in the world, and it can cause them to eat the sac. So I didn't want to keep coming in here and lifting up the trapdoor, because this is the only way we're ever going to find out. She's not going to leave a sign to say, leave me alone, kids in home, you know. We've got to keep looking. So what we done is we just checked it once a week, and I saw the egg sac in there, and going on the condition of it, it was pure clean white, and I figured that was probably literally fresh, absolutely fresh. So we took our date from when we find our egg sac, which was the 6th of the 10th. Now we are now on the, what is the date today? Hold on, we are on the 21st of the 11th. So how long has that been? That's been 40 days odd. So, and these are now slings, so that's absolutely perfect timing. Who wants to have a look at them? Do you want to have a look, Emma, really? Let's see our new babies. Alright, what we're going to do is we're going to use the torch here to create a little bit of light, and we can see clearly now that this is the trapdoor, and you notice that it's all made out of stuff that is within the enclosure. So she's used the dry moss that we've had round here, which we used to fill the gaps in. She's taken that down and she's made this camouflaged trapdoor. Absolutely astounding. Now then, right, let's see. Hopefully I can do this without blocking the view. Can we see? Right, here we go then. I'm going to just lift this up. Can we see babies? Oh my God, look at those, look at those. There she is, lovely big proud mama. Them babies are fabulous. Oh, one more look. One more look. They're all hiding underneath her. They've all disappeared. Excuse my belly. I'm too excited. Can we see them under her? Just about see them. Isn't that amazing? Look at the inside of that trapdoor. She's lined that all with silk. It's a lovely little home in there. Are we going to see some babies? Can you see them? I can't.
I can. You're going to have to wait till you see the video.
Oh, look at that. Right, we'll close that back up. Look, she got a grip of that and she shut the door. Isn't that an amazing sight? That is absolutely fantastic. Now, I'm chuffed to bits. Chuffed to bits. This was a project, like we said, started 18 months ago. We got these as tiny. They were the same size as them little babies, and we kept them in little tiny sling pots, and then eventually worked them up. Now, one thing I will say with these guys, we started with 5, and we lost 3 of them. Now, this was due to possibly, I would say, misinformation, really, because when we got these, sort of like 18 months, 2 years ago, the information on them, everyone was saying keep them in a very high humidity with plenty of dampness, which is what we done, and we lost 3 relatively quickly. And we've since found that you'll see in this enclosure is absolutely dry. It's really dry, and all I do now is I just spray this moss, and then that gives me enough humidity to keep the actual enclosure where I need it to be. Now, you can see inside here there is dampness in the soil here, which is where we need it to be, and you'll notice the top of the soil is dry. So again, the same as what we've been saying with all of our spiders that require this humidity, keep the lower portion of the soil damp, and then that will come up through and give us our humidity. But the actual surrounding home, as it were, the space that the spider lives in, is dry. Very, very important. Once we've done that, these girls flourished. They absolutely flourished. So bear in mind, this is what we need to do. Now, these youngsters here will be available. Check out our Facebook page. We always post up on there. They will be available. Now, if you do go ahead and you try one of these for yourselves, at this stage we will keep them in a normal sling pot, which is just one of these, a normal sling pot, and then all we will do is we will have a piece of cork bark, and we will put cork bark in there with a couple of little tiny holes drilled in it to enable these guys to go in and find a hole that they feel safe in and they can live in. And then we just literally put some dried moss crunched up, because these guys actually will chew the moss to make tiny fine little fragments, and this is what they make their trapdoor out of. So they silk it over and they add all of this camouflage to the trapdoor. Now, one of the things that we've noticed an awful lot on Facebook is people saying that when they get their T.selodonia, they can't get them to make a trapdoor. Now, this can be for a number of reasons. Some of it is because they're kept in something that's too large, so they find it hard to actually manoeuvre these things. This is the idea of keeping them in something small like this. As you saw there, it's a very tiny spiderling, very tiny. Now, by keeping it in here, it's not going to be running around forever looking for somewhere safe to be. It will find the holes very quickly. And also, it's giving them the right material to build the trapdoor. It does need to be very, very fine. It's a tiny spider. You know, it would be like asking us to build a trapdoor out of motor cars. I can't lift a car, so I'd have a job to try and build a trapdoor using cars, wouldn't I? So if I can get materials that I can physically move, I can build my trapdoor much easier. And that is what we need to do with our T.selodonia. We need to make sure that the bits and pieces that are within its home are easy for it to move to actually make that trapdoor. Now, when we come to feeding them, I feed them when they're this size, I feed them on fruit flies. And all I would do is take the lid off and I would throw 4 or 5 fruit flies in there, shut the lid, put back on the shelf, leave them be. Now, by putting in 4 or 5 fruit flies, you're giving the spider plenty of opportunity to actually catch a meal. I don't really like using baby crickets or even baby roaches to some extent when they're very, very small like this. Fruit flies are far better, and they're also inoffensive. So should they die in the pot, it doesn't really matter. They dry out real quick, not a problem. And they're not going to cause your spider any harm at all. So you can just keep adding them. And generally what I will do, I will feed them 2, maybe 3 times a week by putting them flies in there. If I have a look in there and there's still a couple of flies going, I leave them. As soon as the flies have all died off or they've been eaten, I add more. And you just keep going and going and going. And you don't have to worry about molting with fruit flies either. When the spider's getting ready to molt, it will stay in its trapdoor, do its business, then it will molt out. And it will throw the molt outside. You'll see it, and you know then you can carry on with feeding your fruit flies. And wait until it gets up to a good size. Once it's up to like a, I don't know, maybe a centimetre, then move over and you can start adding things like tiny micro crickets and things like that, and just gradually build them up slowly. Right, but if they don't build it, one thing to say is if they don't build a trapdoor immediately, don't panic. I did have it with mine. I think one of them took something like a month to build a trapdoor, so don't panic on it. You know, it's not ideal, but it's not the end of the world. And if they don't build a trapdoor, 9 times out of 10 they'll put a bit of webbing up on the top, and that's where they'll be. But you just keep feeding, keep putting a few fruit fly in there and seeing what happens, and hopefully you'll catch some feeding as well. But yeah, try not to panic over them. They are actually relatively hardy spiders once you get the environment right. So remember, keep it dry. Do not, especially in that situation, do not let it get wet. You will kill your spider. So keep it dry. In the vial like that, 1 drop from a pipette is more than enough, and allow it to dry out. Don't let it get wet. You will kill your spider. Right then. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. I am absolutely chuffed. We're really, really happy in the Beastie Room today. And yeah, look us up on Facebook. You'll see a bit more of them. We're going to put some footage up on there as well. Right then. Well, I hope you enjoyed that. It's made my day, and hopefully yours as well. And don't forget, be calm, be gentle, and love your spider. And I'll see you soon, guys.